into talking about PKI? All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in then. I'm going to circle the wagon and hopefully bring it back around and kind of tie all this together and put us in a position where we can have some meaningful conversations either later on today or tomorrow about this. So with PKI, typically it's more than just a word. Typically it's a system. And it's referred to as a crypto system. So typically there are apps or client side pieces of software that get installed that is a consumer of the main crypto system. So with PKI, it's a set of hardware, software, but also policies, procedures, and the people. And all of these things are using a certificate management system. And this certificate management system is what we call the PKI. So with PKI, what we use is an X509 public key cryptographic service number 11. And there's a bunch of publications out there. If you're not familiar with them, you can go out and take a look. But the X509 is the standard format for a digital certificate. And so when we go in and we create these digital certificates using PKI, the X509 standard must be adhered to. And so typically what we can do is we can publish these certificates and have a keyed pair using the X509 standard. But one of the interesting things here that you need to make sure that you are looking at is that not only is it a certificate management system where you can create, you can distribute, verify, so it's a all-encompassing realm of trust, but also it has a couple of primary business objects that are involved in the decision-making process. The most important one is what is called the Certificate Authority, or the CA. And the CA is kind of like, the way I always describe it, it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. If you've never seen the old movie, The Wizard of Oz, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But if you have, then you will know what I'm talking about. So, when Dorothy and her crew get to the Crystal City or whatever it's called, they want to go and meet the Grand Poobah, the Wizard of Oz. And, they walk down this majestic corridor all the way down to this massive room. And, they see fire and smoke and everything. And then there's a huge image that's transposed up in the top of the ceiling of the Wizard of Oz, kind of like a god-like creature, if you will. And one of the things that I use in explaining this is the certificate authority is kind of like setting the table in that scenario. If you've never seen the movie, or if you have, then you know what I'm talking about. Is when she starts to talk to the Great Wizard of Oz. He says, and blows the fire up. How dare you talk to the Great Wizard of Oz? No one talks to the Great Oz. And that's really, in all joking aside, that's really the concept of this crypto system in the PKI. No one can talk to the Great Wizard of Oz, the certificate authority. No one. You can't go up and talk to that certificate authority. I can't write programs that can go and talk to that certificate authority. Nothing can talk to the certificate authority except the registration authority and the validation authority. And those two are consumers, so different pieces of software that are allowed to talk to the certificate authority. But we are not cool enough, you and I and everybody that are users of the system, just at a general state in the realm of trust, we're not cool enough to use the certificate authority. So we have to go through a proxy. And that proxy, if we're going in and trying to get our certificates created and generated to hopefully be distributed, and we can use, what we have to do is we have to go to a registration authority. And so the purposes or the context to anybody who's on the horn right now or online right now who has a CAC, you will understand this very, very well. In that when we go in and we need a new CAC, or we have to go re-up the CAC or renew the CAC, we have to go to the badging office. And the badging office, or the one stop on any post in the world, will have that reciprocity or that fiduciary relationship with the CA. And essentially, it is the proxy between you and the CA, because how dare you try to talk to the great Wizard of Oz? You just can't, right? So the registration authority, who is the badging official, that person who is in a position of public trust, which is, oh, by the way, different than an SF-86. It's an SF-85, which is called the quote unquote position of public trust. And if you think about it, at least in the context of the DoD world, that position of public trust is a separate verification and background investigation, because it adds much more context and evaluation or investigation to those people who have that position of public trust. Think about this right here. If you are a registration authority, or maybe an administrator to the certificate authority, think about how much power or juice you have, or maybe we should call it sauce, because the juice can just kind of come and go, but the sauce, lasts for a long time. And I say that because a lot of times people get that confused. And I want to make sure that we set the framework here so we can have more meaningful discussion. So certificate authority is the great Wizard of Oz. They're the ones that will generate and revoke certificates. They distribute, they verify, they store, and those certificates are in an X509. The proxy between us, humble servants, and the lay people and the certificate authority, the proxy between us is the registration authority. Okay, so keep that in mind as we move here to the next slide. And this is